From Wonder Woman to Batman vs. Superman, DC Studios has seen a lot of successes, but there are some films out there that just couldn't be saved from crashing and burning at the box office.
Barry, where are you? It's almost synchronized!
Okay.
For Darkseid. No.
Man of Steel is one such film that made us think maybe DC should just leave our favorites alone. The 2013 film starring Henry Cavill wasn't really a commercial failure, as it grossed over $668 million worldwide. It was also heavily anticipated because many fans thought it helped give a fresh face to the franchise, but the critics and fans just didn't think it lived up to the hype, and it ended up receiving a lot of mixed reviews. One of the biggest criticisms of Man of Steel was its dark and brooding tone. This was a huge change from the more hopeful and optimistic portrayal of Superman in previous films and TV shows. The film's heavy use of muted colors and somber music also contributed to this darker tone. If you're dealing with everyone's favorite superhero, you have to get his character right. Many fans felt that the film didn't do justice to the character of Superman, who's traditionally portrayed as a symbol of hope and inspiration. In the film, Superman is depicted as more of a conflicted and sad figure, which some fans felt was just not it. And to add on top of that, the film just didn't have enough jokes. Everyone needs a good laugh, right? How many more brooding Superman sequences can we take? Then there was also the problem of Superman and Lois Lane's chemistry, or lack thereof. But DC just never learns from their mistakes, do they? The Green Lantern lit the way for another disappointing DC movie. Back in 2011, superhero films were seeing a massive revival, with Marvel Studios launching its first phase. Iron Man 2 was drawing a lot of attention, and Green Lantern was seen as DC's best bet for putting up strong competition. With Warner Brothers producing it, what could have gone wrong? Sadly, it didn't quite deliver. In fact, it pretty much destroyed all hopes the fans had. The most disappointing aspect of the film was its convoluted plot and poorly executed special effects. The film attempted to introduce a complex mythology involving multiple Green Lanterns and the evil entity Parallax, but it failed to fully explain or develop these concepts, leading to confusion among audiences. Another major issue was the lead actor's performance, Ryan Reynolds. Yes, I know what you're thinking. How can Ryan be bad in a superhero film considering his success with Deadpool? Well, many fans complained that he failed to capture the charisma and wit of the original comic book character, and the chemistry between Reynolds and his co-star Blake Lively was considered weak, which doesn't make sense since they're literally married. Despite the large budget of $200 million, the trailers and promotional materials failed to generate much interest. And yes, the comic book nerds were disappointed with how it didn't really follow the source materials. Eventually, it made about $219 million at the box office, but that wasn't enough for Green Lantern 2, which had already been given to Michael Goldenberg to direct.
It's all right now.
And before you think we're being too harsh on these films, we can't be more harsh than the creators of these movies themselves. Jonah Hex is one such DC film that the actors don't even want to be associated with. The 2010 film adaptation of the DC Comics character Jonah Hex was a commercial failure, grossing just over $10 million on a $47 million budget. The film also has about a 12% score on Rotten Tomatoes. The lead actor, Josh Brolin, wanted to redo the whole movie so it could stop embarrassing him, and when the film came out, critics didn't hold back at all. Reviews were generally negative, with critics claiming the film's weak script, poor pacing, and lack of character development as its weaknesses. Some fans think that this negative word of mouth contributed to the film's underperformance at the box office, but some also think that the film's marketing didn't help its case either. The film's marketing campaign was relatively quiet, with little promotion outside of a few trailers and posters. This lack of visibility likely contributed to the film's failure to attract a wider audience. And just like the other films on this list, Jonah Hex had a summer release and had to compete with other blockbusters like Eclipse and Inception. So you're not the only one who forgot this movie existed. And then there was also the issue of it being a weird mishmash of Western movies and supernatural genres. The movie was based on a relatively obscure comic book character, and its dark and violent tone may have made the audience dislike it.
Okay. Just gotta go faster than the speed of light, far beyond the speed of light. You gotta break the rule, Barry, and you gotta do it now.
And if you feel bad about not remembering Jonah Hex, then you surely won't remember this next one. The 2010 superhero film The Losers was just an epic disaster. This film had names like Chris Evans, Zoe Saldana, and Idris Elba attached to it, so surely it can't be that bad. Well, the film was a box office flop, grossing only $29.2 million worldwide against a budget of $25 million. Despite having a talented cast, the film didn't generate much buzz or anticipation leading up to its release. And while it featured a great cast, they weren't enough to distract the viewers from its poor writing and confused vibes. The film's mix of action and comedy may have confused audiences who were expecting a more straightforward action film or a comedy with a lighter tone. And then, of course, it was released around the same time as Iron Man 2, so it clearly didn't stand a chance at becoming a hit. The makers of these movies have to realize that the timing of their release is also an important thing they should consider. But even with recent films, it seems like DC just can't get it right, and Wonder Woman 1984 is proof of that. With the success of Wonder Woman, fans were eager to see how Diana's storyline would be carried forward, but the sequel was a disaster to say the least. The shift in tone was huge when it came to the sequel, as many fans felt it was trying to pack too much humor. Then, there was also the huge issue with the villains. Maxwell Lord, and Cheetah in particular, were criticized by some fans and critics for being underdeveloped and not as compelling as other superhero movie villains. As if that wasn't enough, the movie was released during the COVID-19 pandemic, which obviously didn't help its case either. This limited the number of theaters that were open and the number of people willing to go to one, and so naturally, it wasn't a huge box office hit. But there are some wounds that'll just never heal. I'm, of course, talking about the Justice League. With a massive budget and an all-star cast, the Justice League was supposed to be a big rival of Marvel's Avengers. When it came out, it was anything but that. The film just had bad luck before it even began filming. The original director, Zack Snyder, had to step away from the film due to a family tragedy, and Joss Whedon was brought in to complete the movie. Whedon's vision clashed with Snyder's, leading to a disjointed final product. Then, the movie went through a lot of reshoots, which caused the budget to go over and the tone and style to be all over the place. The script for the movie was seen as one of its biggest flaws, with characters that didn't feel fully developed and a plot that was too simple. But the movie still managed to gather a large fan base after the fire cooled down. And that's all about the DC movies that flopped at the box office.